Hey. Coach Wheeler here, and today I want to talk or raise a tricky subject, and I want to discuss a word that is thought provoking. It's a word that's I think's used a lot, and it can be abused and misused, and also maybe not appreciated. And that word is mental health. Yes, our mental health. And to some people, it's a scary word, and I know sometimes when people use it, they can feel shame, guilt, fear, kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do around that, mental health, oh no, and it's a very tricky word, but I think it's a very important word. I don't really like the word, but I think it's very important. And when I'm working as a mindset, purpose and life coach, I come across the fact that we need to look after ourselves. And by that, what I mean is you have your physical health and even your emotional, spiritual self, and your beliefs and what you are, what you want to be, and all of that. If you'd put on a little bit of weight, or you've recently been ill and you've gone through something, you've had an injury and you're in recovery, you would take care of your physical health. And you might start eating better, drinking more water, getting some exercise, doing some stretches, and maybe taking some supplements and trying to better your physical health. So we're very aware of that, especially in this social media, body conscious world that we live in. And also our spiritual and emotional selves. Some of us have a faith, we have our families, we might be happily married in beautiful relationships, might be part of the community, we might have a business that's a family run business, and we work in the community. My local vicar in her with her parishioners, she does a lot of work, and recently recommended one of her congregation to me as a client, which was an amazing thing. So that can be people's growth and contribution, and that kind of looks after in some ways our spiritual and our emotional selves, and can be part of our purpose. But mental health can be one that gets left to the side, and like I said, can be this fearful, oh, what is it over there, I don't know if I can mention that. Or sometimes the opposite, when and listen, I can say the word, and some people might say, oh, it's a load of old tosh, why don't you just get on with things? Or other people are like, oh, don't want to talk about it, or some people are scared of it. And there are other people that use it and abuse it. I'm not talking about people with a neurological condition, or something that you've had a diagnostic from a doctor and you're working through something. That's different with with medication and professionals. That's totally different. I'm talking about our day-to-day, everyday things that we go through. And as a mindset, purpose and life coach, I deal with people with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, relationship issues, all kinds of problems that deal with the mindset. And I like to call it our mental fitness, the same as our physical fitness. We look after yourselves. So I work with people on that. And I don't like to throw around the word mental health like an excuse or a reason to not do the right thing or to avoid our responsibility, because we have to face up to life. Sometimes we have to just stand up and say, okay, look, if I want that, I'm to do this, and to get things I've never had, I'm going to have to do things I've never done. So changing the mindset is a big thing. But I recently had a bit of an altercation, and I go into businesses, so I help businesses with their employment assistance programs and their well-being programs, and they want to integrate sort of mental well-being and mental health into their businesses and look after their employees. So I'm really happy to see that happening, because you have bosses, shareholders, CEOs, managers, and the whole remit of what you can have in any business, whether it's the service industry, you produce a product, whatever it is that you do in finance, whatever businesses that you're involved with. You have those dynamics, and that integrates into your personal life. And the mental side of it can be very challenging. People suffer with stress, with deadlines, with fear, anxiety, bullying, intimidation, or maybe they're the ones that find themselves in those situations where they break out and they find themselves, their anger comes out and they have a snap and they can't control it, and then they find that they might be bullying people and they don't want to be doing that. So it can be the other way. But I also find people abusing the word, it's that mental health rubbish, isn't it? Not this again. Oh, I'm sick of hearing about this. Or people try to avoid responsibility, but it's down to my mental health, when it really isn't. They're trying to get out of things, and I'm not belittling it. I take heed with it, and we work with kindness and a delicate way of getting through that. But when you do that, if you abuse that word, what it does, it belittles those people that are really suffering. And that really gets to me, because I know people that suffer in silence, and they would rather just hide away and sit in the corner and do nothing about it. And I feel those are the people I want to help most, because they're not shouting for the rooftops. They're afraid to ask for help, and they need it the most. There's some people that are out there every 5 minutes, oh, I want this, I want that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like you then shun away the people, or scare away the people that feel intimidated or shy, or I don't want to ask for help, and no one would believe me, and I'll get shouted at work, and my husband or my wife will just think I'm stupid, and I don't want to seem weak, and especially men. I used to work in construction, and now I go back into construction industries and help them and work with some of their managers and senior people and workforces and that, and other businesses as well, where there's an integration now of where there's a lot of mixed sexes, and diversity is great, and to see all of that. But it's sometimes how those cultures, personalities, the sexes, authority, the hierarchy of companies, and also people fear of losing their job, fear of standing out, and they hide away. And also when mental health gets thrown around and wishy-washied about and abused, people then feel like, I can't use that, I really can't, because it will... people will think I'm taking liberties, or, when other people are abusing it to try and avoid something bad that they did. And they think, oh, no, I'll just get away with it. I'll say it was down to me mental health. I've heard people say that, and it's really disgusting. So this video is kind of about, being mindful of that, and what that word means to you. How do you feel about that? What does that represent for you? Do you have an opinion on it? Do you suffer from it? Do you think it's a load of old tosh? And I'm open in the debate. I want to talk to people. I want to see what people's responses are. But also to give you the message of just be kind. You don't have to go in heavy-handed. You don't have to dismiss it. You don't have to deal with it. You can politely say, look, this isn't my thing, and I'm going to step away. People will not judge you for that. If you feel it's down to it's keeping your mental health in check, and it'll be safer for you and more beneficial for you and your calmness and your balance to not get involved, then that's fine. But help those people, maybe speak to someone who can, or don't vilify them, and definitely don't abuse the word, because there are people out there that are struggling, that really need help, and I know that because with my client base and the people I'm working with, I see it every day. And even though I'm a strong-minded person, and I'm a fierce man, and I like to try and do the best I can and contribute and make a change, there are still some days when my mental health suffers, and I have to take care of my mental fitness. And there are times when I'm in situations where I struggle, and I think, Jesus, this is really hard. I've got to really be strong to get through this. But I pull myself up and I try to do the best I can, and I try to get my way through it. So I just wanted to give you that message and say, be kind, be gracious, be open-minded, don't abuse the word, and take care of yourselves. Look after yourselves in your mind, your body, and your soul. So that was the message from Coach Wheeler today. I hope it helps. If you've got any questions, please come back to me. I'm really thankful when people do and they ask me questions. Sometimes people say to me, could you do a video on this? A guy recently asked me on, I'm suffering from, I have bouts of anger and sudden rage. Could you do a video on that? So I did one, and I talked about that, which I'll do it again. But it's always interesting to hear, because sometimes you have an opinion and I have a strategy and a technique, and there are lots of different ones, and then someone will say, that was exactly what I needed to hear, because I hadn't thought of that. And other people might say, it's worth trying this because this worked for me. And that integration, that sharing of power, that sharing of knowledge, that sharing of information is what I'm doing here. I want to give you something and hopefully receive something back. So I hope it helps. Look for more tips and advice from Coach Wheeler. Tell all your friends, tell all the neighbours, and even tell strangers. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace.